tendency to try and get away with shenanigans.
Yes.
This is a sad, it's actually a sad story because the interaction took place on a news station's Facebook page or something.
Yeah, so everyone saw this, yes.
So someone was talking about getting sick because they were forced to wear a mask. Other people were saying don't wear a mask. And then other people were saying you should wear a mask. And then some woman said, well, my husband went away on a business trip and he got chlamydia from his mask. And everyone was like, chlamydia?
Like, really?
I think one of them was, unless there's another disease that sounds like chlamydia, I can't find it on Google, but you just talked about your husband being unfaithful in front of everybody.
He cheated on that business trip, because that's the only way you're going to get the chlamydia.
Yeah, I don't think there's another way to get chlamydia. I think that is it. That is the one way. So my thought is that he must have had sex when he was on his business trip.
Yeah.
Then had sex with his wife after he got back and had to tell her.
Yeah.
That
that was the first thing that popped in his head. Yeah,
because he might have given her.
Must have got it from the mask. I had to wear that mask on the business trip. I'm talking to many different people, and I'm sure one of those people, something must have happened there. Like, what?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Nah.
I mean, good for him having the balls to say something like that and think that was gonna work, but man, I feel bad for her.
Honestly, it worked. I mean, she bought it. She was saying you shouldn't wear a mask, you might get chlamydia. Like, she believed it. And now, obviously this won't end well for anybody, but, there are probably certain things you can get from non-sexual contact that are more often gotten from sexual contact, that would be tough. Like if you did get cramps from the toilet seat, and then you're like, no, I swear to God, like no woman I ever dated would believe me for 10 seconds, even if it was the absolute truth, So, but I think this guy, he should get chlamydia is chlamydia. I don't think you're getting that from wearing a mask. 94 HGY.
Pioneer Heavy Duty Truck Parts and Seacom. Truck parts when you need them. Online at pioneerhdparts.com. The pandemic has caused an increase in erectile dysfunction, or as I like to call it, the corona-bona. So, corona-bona. I believe our old buddy Don Cortisone makes a brand new appearance on the Fall Now Show. That'll be tomorrow morning right here at 94 HGY. What's the Duquay guarantee? It's protecting you from scenes like this. Big oil, what's your problem?
Yeah, you guys just delivered wood.
What's your next contract? I'd look. Just don't have it. This bad. So,
eventually get this. The whole idea of staying in was to prevent a mass amount of people getting infected and overwhelming the hospitals. Now that we've managed that, then with the incredibly low death rate in young, healthy populations, they're going to get out, they're going to go to work, they're going to be exposed, but they're going to have fairly little burden to the system. And now that we're offering so much testing, I know locally we've opened up testing to anyone regardless of symptoms for free. Well, the natural result of that is going to see more cases, but it doesn't mean more burden when hospitalization rates are going down and death rates are going down. So I think there's a lot of different issues at play here.
And your take, Dr. McDonough?
Yeah, Sean, I think a couple things. I think what Josh said is really true about young people getting out more. I think one of the things we're learning about young people, it's not a free ride for them. We're starting to realize even those who are asymptomatic, they're starting to find, when they x-ray them, crystallized material in the lungs, which suggests that 10, 15, 20 years later, they may have issues. So the one thing I'm trying to get across to young people through a podcast is just don't think that you got a free ride. I really recommend, you wear masks, you really try to social distance and do all you can, not just for the older people, obviously, but for the younger people as well. The other thing about the hospitalization and deaths, you're always going to see it weeks after the young people get it. In other words, as you know, you get the 14-day experience with a young person, then they meet someone who is older, who then has another 14 days before symptoms and maybe hospitalization. So there's always that lag, and I worry, very scared about what could happen in the next couple weeks after these spikes, and I think we got to watch that closely.
Well, I think we got to watch it too, and again, you know, now if we're dealing with a less susceptible of dying population that's contracting it, my worry, and the reason that I said, Dr. Josh, is wear the stupid mask so we can open up, you know, stadiums and outdoor concerts and have football in the fall, is because if it means, okay, I get to go to the game, but to protect grandma, grandpa, mom, and dad, that if you ever contracted the virus, you pass it on to them, I'm fine to do it to protect others. I'm not really that worried about myself. I mean, there'd be a lot of people that'd be pretty happy, actually, if I dropped dead.
Well, I think if you look at Florida opened almost 40 days ago, and there is a steady drop in death rate and a steady increase in cases. So it's been plenty of time to see if there was a correlation with rolling, 11 to 14-day cycles. But again, looking at the infection and the response in its entirety, there's still been a number of very prominent medical professionals saying the deaths of despair, alcoholism, drug addiction, domestic abuse, depression, anxiety, suicide are going to be equal to or greater than the number of deaths from COVID. So it's not just that we want to go out and have concerts and enjoy life, but it's that we need to get back to a productive society that employs this 40 million people that are now unemployed. That's the equivalent of the smallest 22 states. So there's a lot of people who depend on the economy opening back up so they can take care of their families. And that's part of this whole picture is we have a fraction of the daily deaths. Yesterday was 250. So far, New York's only reporting 15 deaths. In light of that, when we had 2,100 deaths per day at a peak, I think we've done a great job. Everything's working, and we don't need the same response now that we did back then if it's going to further hurt the economy and those most disenfranchised by that.
I mean, look, we don't want any deaths, but 500,000 people, I mean, that we're now talking about a pandemic. What, the worst one, Brian, since what, the Spanish flu, or in the end it'll be the most?
Yeah, you're right. You're right on target there. Probably the Spanish flu is the last time we've seen anything to this nature. Yeah, I think you're right, Sean. And I think, you and I talked way back about shutting down the whole country. I remember talking about it with you.
Oh, by the way, the New York Times says I killed people. Well, they pretty much suggested it. Meanwhile, I'm the one that said, don't travel to China. And they're saying, oh, it's fine to travel to China. It's such hypocrites, but go ahead.
I recall you saying, and I think this was important, it's not an all or nothing. In other words, there's parts of the country you have to shut down when you have those moments. Parts of the country doing better are doing things well. Let's learn from those that are doing well. Let's bring it back down and those that are having tough times and look at it logically. And I think, to Josh's point, that then allows people to feel they have a sense of being a part of society, that they actually are not home all the time. We had to do it once. Now what we have to do is selectively do it, but not back off. Really watch it, watch the numbers closely, and react to them. I think that's going to be the key.
All right, quick break. We'll come back more with Dr. Brian McDonough and Dr. Josh Humber. All right, here we are, and it's lawn mowing season, and you got 2 days left for a Hustler Turf. Again, the first zero-turn mower. These guys have been in business, a third-generation family company providing hundreds of jobs in America's heartland. The best built, the best engineered, with the most safety and the most comfort of any lawnmower built by anybody. They have commercial, they have residential. And for these last 2 days in June, you'll save $100 on any Raptor residential mower. You'll save $300 on any Dash residential mower.